This is for the descendants of the colonized. When people tell us that we should have empathy for and be willing to help maggots or any other nationalists and white supremacists who have a change of tune all of a sudden because they need help, ask yourself, how did that go for our ancestors? How did that go for the Africans? How did that go for the Native Americans? How did that go for the Taino? How did that go for the Aboriginals, the Maori, the Hawaiians? You know the answer. These are the same people who hate strangers, who do not want to welcome strangers. And because our ancestors were the opposite, and they were willing to welcome strangers and help them, lend them a helping hand, they were destroyed because of it. So to me, if someone is telling you, demanding that you show empathy, fellow feeling, humanity to, and be willing to help a white supremacist because they need it and they're a fellow human being, don't listen to them and don't trust them. They should not be trusted. These people are at the top for a reason, because they're vicious. That doesn't mean that we need to be vicious, but it does mean that we should not help them.
I don't understand black people's kindness towards white people right now. As a trans person, I don't feel a lot of kindness towards society. I don't feel a lot of kindness towards transphobic people. And when I consider that I don't know who's transphobic and who is, in a similar, not same way that black people don't know which white people are racist and who isn't, I personally have a very difficult time understanding the kindness that the black community, that black people continue to give white people, despite the fact that we really don't deserve it. We don't deserve kindness from them, and anytime we foster allyship, show allyship, it always comes with a caveat that if you correct us, then you're wrong because we're trying, as if that's a correct metric for measuring progress. I don't get it. I don't understand how black people are so kind to white people when we have done nothing to earn it, and historically, systemically, have done everything to make black people distrustful of us. I don't get it. And because the oppression of black people is more similar to my oppression as a trans person. To be clear, it's not the same. I don't think it's the same. But I have more to learn from the black community than I do from the white community, because black people experience oppression in a way that is more similar to my experience than cis white people. And that's not to say that it is the same, because I don't think that it is, but the hand that oppresses one is the hand that oppresses all. And the thing that I am stuck on is how kind black people choose to be to us, despite the fact that they don't know which ones of us it is and which ones it isn't. And I think that when we're thinking about qualities of personhood and what makes a person a superior being, I think in some ways, right, that absolutely makes black people superior to white people. Because I'm angry as fuck about it. I don't feel the urge to be nice to people. And they have 400 plus years in this country of experience of us specifically oppressing them.
Aren't you tired of this culture war bullshit? Aren't you done? Republicans, voters, Tennessee specifically, aren't you tired of them cramming culture war bullshit down your throat while you're poor, broke, can't afford groceries, your energy bills have skyrocketed, your insurance premiums have doubled or tripled, your best friend lost his farm, factories around you closing, hundreds of thousands of jobs lost, you're paying taxes while they're ripping away social.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you are doing great from wherever you're watching this video from. As you know, I'm your host and presenter Hygienic Stories. I want to talk about something. You know, people are now taking black people badly for not being, sympathy for white folks. And we all know that they messed up. And right now they want people to carry their cross. Black people said that we are not carrying your cross. We are not carrying your cross, and you have to carry your own cross. right? And somehow this is making this is making some people to say our black people are so they are atlas. They don't care about the United States, and they just want to let the United States to drown. And I'm saying, let it drown, because so many times black people have tried to help, but their efforts have been futile. Why? The efforts have been futile because people don't take them seriously. The people only takes you serious when you stop giving what you are giving. And black people are stopping to give them that, at least to remind them that black people are important. And so many times we have seen them trying to talk to black people, to initiate people going on the streets, to initiate all that so that, you know, they can be together, they can fight for America. For the longest time, majority of the people that have fought for this country is black people. They ended up being treated like shit. We all know that. This is something that has been happening. People are not new to this. This is just the truth, and the truth that people should know. For the longest time, black people have showed sympathy. For the longest time, black people have showed that they can help all these other groups of people. But what did they get in return? They got disappointment. They wasted their energy to people who didn't appreciate them. And so as a result, black people learned that they are going to be keeping their energy for themselves. That includes having no sympathy for any person that appeals to you emotionally so that you can get to feel how it all goes. But the truth is this: I don't think black people not having the sympathy is the problem. It is white people who take black people for granted. Brothers and sisters, I want you to watch this video. You know, I'm going to be back and we'll discuss about this. As you know, I'm your host and presenter, Agenic Stories, and let's get into it. I'll be back.
Social safety nets, taking funding away from schools and special education, taking away worker protections for you. Meanwhile, they're cramming culture war bullshit down your throat so that you don't notice. These people promise to make life great for the blue-collar man. You elected a billionaire who put in his cabinet other billionaires who only need you and your children to be the little cogs that turn their machines every day, that make them money. They're taking your tax dollars and screwing over the American people. And aren't you tired? Aren't you sick of it? You know the man lied to you by now. You can't be that dumb. And if you continue to vote for people who bang the drum of MAGA, who march to their tune, who just repeat the same culture war bullshit because they think you're too dumb to understand the politics of it all, aren't you tired? You have a job today in Tennessee, your 7th Congressional District. They don't think Afton can win. She can win if you turn the corner. Say, I'm done with this bullshit. I'm done with electing people who think I'm dumb. I'm done electing people who have been lying to me for the last 11 years. I'm done watching billionaires treat me like I'm scum because I'm poor. I'm done letting them lie to me. So if you live in the 7th Congressional District and you're a Republican voter, you have a chance to make things better today, starting today. You have got to be tired, sick and goddamn tired of this bullshit. Donald Trump spent the better part of yesterday and today spreading heinous lies about who Afton Bain is and what she wants to do. And I just need you to ask yourself if you're smarter than that. Are you smarter than just gulping down the MAGA lies anymore, because it's been happening for so long and they know that you're going to fall for it? I'm just begging you to prove them wrong.
Poor white people who are especially disingenuous as being like some of the largest demographic of Trump supporting Republicans were this one suffering the most under the same white patriarchal supremacist system. The fuck was that? Anyway, the ancestors are just agreeing with what I'm saying, basically. One way that I knew that white patriarchal supremacy was failing here in America in particular was when I observed that college-educated white people now were suffering under the same system that was supposed to benefit them the most. See, we didn't have a student loan debt crisis until college-educated white graduates could no longer pay their student loans. We didn't have a housing crisis until college-educated white people could no longer afford a starter home or the mortgage or the interest rate for a starter home or a family home, etc. All of those things, student loan debt, being unable to find work after graduating from college despite being qualified, being unable to afford a nice home or property for your family to build wealth and to build status through inheritance and passing down and whatnot. All of those things have long been challenges for Black people and for people of color, even with all of our college degrees, our certificates, our etc., etc. But it didn't all become a crisis until college-educated white people started to suffer. But poor white people, being so disingenuous and being the largest subgroup of Trump-supporting Republican voters, were sitting here suffering as impoverished Americans without access to college education and upward mobility and whatnot, and were still upholding and enforcing through violence the systems of white patriarchal supremacy. As I've said previously, white patriarchal supremacy was always destined to fail because it was built on a system of privilege, and who can access that privilege was always going to be a changing definition. So white gentry could access it by virtue of birth, by virtue of their wealth and nobility status at birth, by virtue of the family that they were born into. Then it had to change to accommodate white men who were not born into the gentry, who were not born into land-owning, wealthy, powerful families. Then it had to change to accommodate white men who were not Protestant. Then it had to change to accommodate white women. Then it had to change to accommodate white people. Then it had to change to accommodate foreign people of color. It had to change to accommodate biracial and mixed race people, etc., etc. That privilege was always a changing definition by virtue of human action and human action over time. It was always going to change and thus was always going to fail. Why we have neo-Nazism and why we have fascism and Proud Boys and Oath Keepers and all this shit popping up now is because now white people are being subjected to the systemic institutionalized violence that Black people and people of color were always subjected to. Right? But the white patriarchal supremacy being the self-eating snake it was really only a matter of time before the definition of who is privileged in America would change. So now that the definition of who has access to power, who has access to college education, who has access to home ownership, who has access to upward economic and financial mobility has changed and has varied to include wider groups of people. Now the self-eating snake has to adjust how it eats and how it subjugates and oppresses. And so it turns to a wider, bigger population, a bigger demographic of people to subjugate and oppress. And who else is left but other white people? Because Black people have already been subjugated and oppressed. Non-Black people of color have already been subjugated and oppressed. Please see Native Americans. Non-Black people of color who are foreigners have already been subjugated and oppressed. So the snake looks around like, well, I've eaten all of these people. I've conquered all of these people. Who else is next? Because I'm hungry. I still have to eat. I am a snake. I am a viper. I still have to eat. I still have to consume in order to stay alive. And if now college-educated middle-class white people are all that's left, they're going to be consumed as well. Too bad, so sad. It was unheard of that a college-educated white person couldn't find a good job after graduating from university. That was the whole point of getting a college degree. It was unheard of that college-educated white people were struggling with failure to launch and moving out of familial homes in their 20s and 30s. It was unheard of that college-educated white people were working in the service industry in menial manual labor jobs despite having a college degree and being white. That was unheard of, and it didn't become a crisis until it started impacting college-educated educated white people. That self-eating snake is eating them up now too, and it has always been eating us, so we've always had to adapt. We've always had to rely on one another. We've always had to change. We've always had to live on the outside, be on the outside looking in. We've always had to delay certain life milestones like home ownership and marriage, etc., and finally achieving a good paying job and being debt free. We've always had to delay those things. But now college educated white people are getting just a small little eensy weensy teensy weensy little taste sampling of what black people and people of color have always lived with in this country since this country's inception. And what do? Turn to neo-fascism. They turn to white supremacy. They turn to neo-Nazism. What did I say a while back? Poor white people who are Republican Trump supporting voters are extremely disingenuous because they're upholding a system that oppresses them too. They know that and they don't give a fuck. What they're hoping is that the self-eating snake will stop eating them and turn on the rest of us instead.
If you want Republicans to finally stop voting against their best interests, stop saving them. If you want Republicans to stop voting against their own best interests, stop saving them. Republicans suck at running the country. Republicans are too bigoted, too racist, too self-aggrandizing, far too deep up billionaires' behinds to be effective leaders in any capacity, mayoral or at the top as a president. But the reason they keep getting a chance to do it is because Republican voters keep getting saved from the consequences of their actions, which is their vote for ineffective leadership. The governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, just saved her state from the consequences of their vote in 2024 by protecting SNAP and EBT benefits for them. The Democratic governor of Michigan, who watched her state vote majority red for Donald Trump in 2024. Oh, you forgot who Gretchen Whitmer is? I'll remind you. Yeah, in 2020, Gretchen Whitmer, governor of Michigan, was the potential victim of a kidnapping to be executed by 13 pale men who apparently did not feel that she was deserving of the seat as governor of Michigan. Yeah, these are just two of the men this past year that were convicted of their plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer, the same woman now that's saving SNAP food benefits for the state of Michigan. This is how she was received. The same person that, the Democrat that, every time Democrats and Democratic leadership does their job and pushes this country to a better standing, Republicans get angry about it, elect a Republican leader who is terrible, and we go into a recession. Like 12 out of the last 10 recessions were under Republican leadership after said Republican was handed a booming economy by a Democratic president. Yet somehow they keep doing this and don't see the problem because Democratic leadership still saves them, along with the rest of us sane motherfuckers, from the consequences of their actions and their votes. And now what? We're bailing out the farmers, the pale ones, mind you, that voted for Donald Trump and got themselves tariffs into oblivion, got their cattle rejected for Argentinian beef. Now we're bailing them out. I've screamed at y'all for years on this app and told y'all that the reason why these pale people get out here and vote the way that they do is because they will be shielded from the consequences of their actions. There will be some other group of people that save them along with the rest of us from their choices. They don't have to make better decisions because we keep getting ahead of it, destiny swapping, and ending up screwed so that they can get away with their BS. Stop saving them. These hoes don't want to be saved. They want to suffer.
This is for the descendants of the colonized. When people tell us that we should have empathy for and be willing to help maggots or any other nationalists and white supremacists who have a change of tune all of a sudden because they need help? Ask yourself, how did that go for our ancestors? How did that go for the Africans? How did that go for the Native Americans? How did that go for the Taino? How did that go for the Aboriginals, the Maori, the Hawaiians? You know the answer. These are the same people who hate strangers, who do not want to welcome strangers. And because our ancestors were the opposite, and they were willing to welcome strangers and help them, lend them a helping hand, they were destroyed because of it. So to me, if someone is telling you, demanding that you show empathy, fellow feeling, humanity to, and be willing to help a white supremacist because they need it and they're a fellow human being, don't listen to them and don't trust them. They should not be trusted. These people are at the top for a reason, because they're vicious. That doesn't mean that we need to be vicious, but it does mean that we should not help them. I'm not helping a white supremacist. I'm not helping any maggots. I'm not doing it. These people call themselves supreme. They're supposed to be the best. They can help themselves. If they're so supreme, they need to prove it. We need to watch out and look out for ourselves. The people who actually respect other human beings, who have humanity, who aren't white supremacists. And I'm not just talking about white people. I'm talking about all the coons, all the people groveling to this administration, whether they're black, Hispanic, Indian. I don't know if there's any natives for Trump, but there could be. Even if they're non-white, they should not be helped if they agree with this administration and then all of a sudden claim to have a change of heart when they're in dire straits because of this administration. Ask them. Ask the president you voted for and watch him spit in your face as he sends money to Nazis in Argentina. Hydra is real. Hydra, that's a real thing. It's already here. It's been here. I don't know if it's the Zionists or the Nazis. I don't know. America's in bed with both of them, which is very odd. We need to learn from the past and not make the same mistake our ancestors did. Yeah, kindness is nice. Empathy is great. But sometimes there's certain people you shouldn't extend either of those to because they don't value your life. They just want to make sure that you value theirs. Oh, and the minority Christians are a part of this too. They're going to want to forgive because Jesus tells them to do so. That white Jesus from the Middle East is going to tell them to forgive racism and white supremacy and to overlook it all. While Christian nationalists say that slavery isn't inherently bad. I'm not going to be associated with people who overlook that. Absolutely not. They aren't going to get my help either. They're not going to get my empathy, sympathy, kindness either. Just like this man, they find happiness in white power. They appreciate the position they're in underneath white power. They're going to go down with the plantation. All the coons, Christian or not, black or not, all the people that are non-white who shuck and jive for the white man, who overlook the white supremacy so that they can stay comfortable, no empathy, no sympathy. You want to go down with the plantation? Be my guest. America, it's still a plantation. And a lot of y'all want to stay slaves. And it pisses me the fuck off. So no, it's too late. It's 2025. If you don't deconstruct white supremacy, especially as a black person or any other minority, but also as a white person, then I'm not interested in even being around you. If you want help and you voted for all of this, too bad. Look to each other for help. Don't ask me. You claim to be the majority who voted for this anyway, right? Millions of you? Build community with each other. Look to your fellow maggots. Don't ever ask me for help. And I think the same goes for people who Palestine was your only issue. The only issue that you cared about, as if there's not genocides in Congo and Sudan as well. The ones telling everybody to suffer because we voted for Kamala and you think that means we wanted Palestinians to suffer? No. But in order for America to stop fucking up the entire world, we have to change it from the inside. And if everybody's suffering, that's not going to happen. Or maybe it will. Maybe it will. But why should we help you if you wanted all of us to suffer? As if Palestine was the only issue going on in the world. No, I don't think I want to help people like that either. And it is difficult because if you run a food bank, you're not going to start asking people who they voted for to feed them. That would be cruel. And I don't run a food bank. And if I did, I probably wouldn't be asking people who they voted for if they need food. But sometimes I really want to. Sometimes I really want to. So that they can be turned to a MAGA food pantry, if that even exists. I am not saying in this video that empathy is a bad thing, that it's toxic, that it's dangerous, like all these other psychopaths. They're the ones saying that. So I say we apply their logic to them. If they're so supreme, give them an opportunity to prove it without a helping hand this time. Because this country that they want to make great again would have never existed without the help of our ancestors. No more help.
The movement that calls itself MAGA has never been about greatness. It has never been about jobs, prosperity, or even the faintest whiff of liberty. Its defining characteristic is cruelty, deliberate, vindictive, and proudly displayed. The signature of Trump's revived presidency is not governance, but punishment. Punishment of immigrants, of minorities, of the poor, of the inconvenient. In this respect, MAGA is not a deviation from conservatism, but the inevitable fruit of authoritarian psychology, where domination of outsiders is more important than the well-being of the nation itself. The evidence of his second term is already damning. An executive order has declared gender immutable at conception, erasing federal recognition of transgender Americans in a stroke of bureaucratic spite. Federal marshals and ICE agents now conduct spectacular raids in workplaces and restaurants, dragging immigrants away in a theater of humiliation that does nothing to reduce crime or improve safety. The homeless of Washington, D.C. have been ordered to move out immediately, as if poverty were a misdemeanor to be scrubbed from the sidewalk, rather than a social ill to be addressed. Local autonomy has been trampled as the White House seized control of DC's police force, deploying troops against a population whose crime rate is already at a generational low. None of these measures advance prosperity. None safeguard liberty. None uphold dignity. They only serve one purpose: to demonstrate who wields power and who can be degraded by it. Why do millions of Americans cheer for this? Why do voters back a movement that inflicts gratuitous harm on their neighbors, sometimes even on themselves? Decades of research on authoritarianism, dominance, and collective narcissism provide the answer. The punishment is not incidental. It is the point. MAGA's base rallies behind Trump not despite the cruelty, but because of it. The infliction of pain on outgroups, whether immigrants, trans people, the poor, or woke elites, is felt as a restoration of order, a proof that their tribe still rules the land.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you are doing great from wherever you're watching this video from. Again, I'm your host and presenter Agent Stories. I don't think at no point Americans should, black Americans black Americans should be guilty for not having sympathy. Because if you're a person that understands history, majority of efforts that black people have given, usually most of the time, has been taken for granted. And those are just part of the lessons that black people should learn, or at least black people should have learned. It only makes sense when you withdraw the value of that one thing that you used to give them. People understand actions rather than words. Because most of the time, black people have tried to warn you about everything that you do, but you didn't listen. Those were words. But it is time. Black people try to show you something different. And now I hope that makes sense to you. I hope that makes sense to you when now you can't afford the things you used to afford because of your ignorance. Now, somebody said that be careful of a frozen snake. Once thawed out, it's just as poisonous as deadly. Yes, that's a perfect example, because majority of the time that black people have removed these people from the problems that they were going through, 90% of the time, they came back and turned against black people. It's like biting the ants that fed you. So black people are tired of feeding the ants that have always been biting them. So there it is. There it goes. The change of art is because now they suffering too. Yeah, it's true. Because they never give a damn about black people. They have never given a damn about black people. Not until the system exposed them. That's when they start caring. That's when they started giving a damn about black people. But ever before, they didn't even care about black people. They never cared about black people. So, doesn't it make sense? Yes, it does make sense. Absolutely zero sympathy for anyone, black, white, or anyone else who voted for Trump. You all have contributed to the destruction of our democracy. I don't want to hear from you people crying all over social media. No sympathy at all. No sympathy. No sympathy at all. A repeat of history. Wealthy plantation owners convinced poor whites that it was in their interest to fight for the preservation of the institution of slavery. After all, if you have slaves, why pay white folks to work? Just a question. That nowhere we are in life, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. I will not care for those who hate me, but need my help. Make it make sense. I will continue to sit back and watch this hateful, dysfunctional, racist, violent country eat itself. Black people, we gonna be okay because it's in our DNA. Black people are gonna be okay because it's in their DNA. They have always found ways to maneuver all the difficulties that have ever been presented to them. And so they know the best possible way to deal with this. I have no sympathy for anyone. I have no sympathy for any immigrant either who feels their culture is better than ours and worships, put white individuals on pedestal like they are not evil, cruel, and oppressive. They are liars and have no accountability or empathy for what their ancestors have done and how the current generation behaves today. America is cruel, racist, bigoted individuals. That's just how he feels, and he has shared it. August of 1670, several months after Anthony Johnson's death, a jury in Virginia court decided that because he was a Negro and by consequences an alien, ownership of 250 acre Johnson once owned should be cheated or reverted to England racism again. By the way, the colonizers bought enslaved black people in this country in 1619. That's according to John Punch, who was the first chattel slave documented. He was owned by Half Ginn, a white slave owner. Somebody said that you don't supposed to have no party. What you're supposed to do is vote. Every 4 years when a candidate is running for president, you are supposed to pick the one that fits the way that your life wants to be. You don't supposed to stick to the party all your life. And you get into a major election, you should be neutral and go for the candidate that's going to give you what you want in this country till the next 4 years. And then repeat again. What's wrong with everybody? Do no one have brains to choose for yourself what you want to govern and represent your interests? I mean, wake up. So, somebody said that I can't have empathy for white people. I can feed them, but I will never invite them to my table, nor my home. I can offer water and warm clothing, but not shelter because they can't be trusted. I can forgive, but I will never forget how I treated you. I was treated. You can't take the spots off a leopard, but it's still a leopard looking for an opportunity to devour you. So, let me know what you all feel about this and think about this. As you know, I'm your host and presenter Agentic Stories, but until then, let me see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.